Hey, you! Before you watch this, pause the video and subscribe to SemiPro right now.
What's going on YouTube? Ryan back with another video, and today we're talking some Atlanta Hawks basketball. More specifically, Trae Young. We all know Trae Young is talented and one of the up-and-comers in today's NBA. But he hasn't led his teams to wins. So, is Trae Young really that good? Trae Young came into the NBA as the 5th overall pick in 2018 and was immediately traded in exchange for Luka Doncic, which has drawn a lot of comparisons to Luka, which might not necessarily be fair because few players in the entire league are better than Doncic. Both of them were all-star starters this season, and there is no doubt that at this point in their careers, they are the two best players from the 2018 draft class. But Trae Young has elevated himself to a different standard now. He's not only a 21-year-old headed into his 3rd season, he's a superstar. But does he deserve it? His awards and accolades would sure suggest so, dating back all the way to high school. Trae shined. He was a McDonald's All-American in 2017. Then in college, he was named to the NCAA All-America First Team in 2018. His first year in the league, he was named to the All-Rookie First Team in 2019, and then he was a 2020 All-Star starter. So, his accolades sure suggest that he is one of the best players of the last few years. But what about his stats? Well, those are pretty good too. He can definitely score the ball. At Oklahoma, Trae averaged 27 points per game. Then his rookie year, he averaged just under 20, and this season, he averaged 29.6, which was 4th most in the entire NBA. He can pass the ball too. In college, he averaged 9 assists per game. His rookie year, he was 4th in the league with 8.1 assists per game, and then this season, he amped it up to 9.3, which was 2nd in the NBA. So, he can score the ball, he can pass the ball, and he has the accolades to be successful. So what are the negatives? Well, if you've watched some of my other videos in the past, you know that winning is the most important variable in my appreciation of your gameplay. And quite frankly, Trae Young just doesn't seem to win. When he was at Oklahoma, the Sooners went 18-14, and they had the 2nd worst record in the Big 12. They made the NCAA tournament, but they were eliminated in the first round. Then in the NBA, Trae has never won more than 30 games in a season, and a lot of people want to excuse this and say that Trae hasn't had the talent around him. And I'll admit, the Hawks haven't had the greatest complementary talent around Young, but they definitely don't have the worst team in the league. John Collins is a young up-and-coming player who could develop into a star, and is certainly one of the best offensive power forwards in the NBA right now. Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, and DeAndre Hunter are all almost complete polar opposites on the wing, but they all bring productivity. And Vince Carter, Jabari Parker, and Jeff Teague serve as veterans for an otherwise very young squad. And while that certainly isn't a contending roster, and I'm not arguing that Trae has superior talent around him, it's sure better than teams like the Hornets and the Knicks, who have better records than Atlanta. If the Hawks want to be excused for having a bad roster, then why aren't they beating these teams that clearly don't have the same assembly of players compared to them? So, while on the surface it doesn't really look like Trae Young is a winner, once you take a deeper dive into the advanced stats, he's 12th in the NBA in value over replacement player, 17th in box plus minus, which is a form of weighted plus minus, and he's 27th in win shares. Not the greatest in the league by any means, but is still very good. The problem for Young is that he isn't capable of being a first option on a winning team. At least not yet. But I don't think Trae's playstyle fits the role of a second option. He's a ball-dominant point guard who led the NBA in turnovers and was 4th in usage percentage. I just don't see how he can play second fiddle to anybody. He's never going to relinquish the basketball and play as a quote-unquote shooting guard, and it's going to be difficult for him to be the facilitator as the second option because he has trouble holding on to the ball. Is Trae Young great at basketball? Yes, but I don't think he's great at NBA because I can't imagine a realistic configuration of players that includes Trae Young that would win a championship. There's a difference between being good at the sport of basketball and being a good NBA player that contributes to championships. I could see him being a Tracy McGrady or Allen Iverson type player, someone who is ultra talented and could potentially be a Hall of Famer, but probably won't ever win a ring. On the flip side, there is an inherent comparison to Steph Curry that's very hard to argue with. So maybe with the right core, he can defy my expectations. But right now, if I'm making a team, Trae Young wouldn't be on it. He's a good player, no doubt, but for the expectations that he has to live up to now being a superstar, he just doesn't fit the billing.